Hello again, this is Odd Job Fix. I repair and restore antiques and collectibles, and other things as well. This is another video about how to separate a PVA or yellow carpenter's glue joint that wasn't put together very well. Take a look. I put a little bit of vinegar on it overnight, hoping that it would soften the glue. It's kind of a yellowish, almost hot glue looking substance, but it isn't because it's much stronger than that, and it didn't seem to do much. So the plan is to use the vinegar and the steam method and see if we can get this thing loose, clean it up, and get it back together. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some boiling water on this just to kind of preheat the glue. It's starting to feel a little spongy. If this is carpenter's PVA glue, this will take some time. The other thing I have is steam, if it's ready. Seems to be. It looks like that might even be a little bit of glue that's on the finish. I don't think tung oil or Danish oil would react like that. I've gone ahead and clamped it in the wood vise, so I can. This is just a lot of glue area here. And we follow that glue line. It's all the way over here, all the way up. I'm seeing a little movement. I've got movement here, so that's open. What's holding us up is this long. I might be able to pry up a little bit, but too much and I'll just snap this right off. I'm pretty sure at this point that this is PVA glue, because that's how this reacts. Rubber band. Yeah, this whole business here is pivoting. So really there are three pieces here from what I can see. You've got this piece here, you've got this piece here, and then there's a chunk here. Well, we don't know how this is held together. There could be a dowel in there. I don't know. Okay, we have a spreading setup here from a hand screw up there on the armrest down to the threaded portion of a hand screw that's clamped around the base of the leg. I'm going to see if we can separate that part right there right now. I can tell you right now that this video has been shortened by about 2.5 hours. This took a long time to steam this apart. I'm not sure I can flip this over. I think you can see that there's plenty of movement there. I'm going to try and figure out another additional setup. So let me do that and I'll be back. Well, I just turned the clamp over the other way. I didn't even bother to move the hand screw, and I almost had an aha moment there. You can see it's, well, you can't, maybe the camera can't see, but it's spread open a little bit, and I didn't want to miss it if I cranked on it and it came loose. And it sure is bending it. And I don't think it's going to be too much longer before it's going to let go. I'm actually going to hit the other side of this clamp here. Hope I don't knock everything apart. Well, I didn't mean knock that apart. That's what I'm trying to do, but there it is. It's done. All right. So there was a big old nasty dowel in there. There it is, which is a good thing. But all this muck and mismatching and whatever is not a good thing. So this is all going to have to be meticulously cleaned up. The dowel feels like steel. I'll put a magnet on it later, but I can pretty well tell you that that's a piece of steel. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I would have used wood. So from this point on, I'm going to have to focus on working up through here and getting this piece off. And that dowel hole is going to come into play here, because I'm going to be able to put a slightly smaller dowel or a screwdriver in there and get a little pressure up along the seam and so on and so forth. So let me regroup. I'll be back. Okay, so at this point, of course, I've got this piece out. It's turned out to be a piece of 3/8 steel rod, and I can use this as a pry bar, but it's gonna break this piece if I don't get it loose first. So I've put a little bit of vinegar down in there. It's unplugged now. It's more or less just hot water. Very close. It's way down there that it's got to let go. So we'll do that. I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to take a run at taking this piece off to here. This long sliver. I've got another piece of 3/8. This is a punch. And it only goes down in there that far. If I don't get where I want to go, I'm going to drill it deeper. Prying in here is not a good idea because I'm going to damage the edge. Also, while this is all wet, it's a good time to be getting rid of some of this glue that's on the end here. This is all going to have to be picked clean for at least a day before we can re-glue it. Even though the glue is a waterborne product, it's not designed to glue up wet wood. Polyurethane glue, which is moisture set, that's a different story. You can glue wet wood with that, but yeah, it's just about ready to give up. That's the moment we've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. And look at that. Just a mess. It wasn't clamped very well. Okay. I'm going to let that dry. We'll be back in a day. I thought I'd turn the camera back on for just a minute. And what I've been doing is loosening up some of that old PVA glue. Trying not to rub the corner around, but mainly working behind the seam. It's okay if I lose a little wood in here. I just don't want to lose any wood right at the edge. So I'll pick at that until I know it's wood. See, that's still glue. But enough of that. I've done this piece, and it's a little tacky. It's still got a little bit of glue on it, so it needs just a little bit more. But already, if I slide that right down in there, with all of that trauma, that's going to close up. That's going to close up pretty well. All right, where we left off here, we were going to let everything dry, and you might remember that I took this ridiculous piece of 3/8 steel rod out of here. I'm going to replace this with wood, and I'm going to go deeper. So I want to make sure this is round, clear of the glue, and get some fresh wood down there at the bottom. That's about as far as I can go there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other end. Hopefully I can just hold it with my hand here. Alright, I'll measure the depth of both of those and cut the dowel. Well, that's the difference, and now we need to see yeah, I think we're going to be good there. I might take just an 1/8 off. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run a screw into this stretcher, just because I'm not sure how much more this tenon is here. So we're just going to put a small screw in there. Get it countersunk so it's past our dowel there. Okay, we're going to want to put this piece on next and let that set. Well, that's not quite where I want it to go, but I'm going to try and put a C-clamp on here and pull it this way just a little bit. And I think I'm going to have to do that off camera. Okay. Sometimes glue-ups can get a little crazy, so I'm not sure why my camera isn't focusing very well, but got a piece of tape here stabilizing this, and then I put a F-clamp there to kind of pull the top in and get a little more squeeze out, and then of course the pipe clamp is doing most of the work there. Sorry about the airplane, but I live near the airport. It's about as even as it's going to get, being that this is the second time through this. So we'll let that set for a while, and I'll go figure out why the camera's not autofocusing. Well, that's all unclamped, and the only thing that's left to do is to glue this piece on. When we do that, we're going to straighten it out with this, and we're just going to let it sit. So this is probably the simplest part. Probably going to be a little hydraulic pressure here because of the amount of glue that's in this. Well, after it glue up, there were a couple of hairline cracks that needed to be filled, so I used some wood putty, and I force dried it with a heater, and I'm gonna rough it out here with some 80. Now I'm going to turn to some 120. I'm going to hit it with some 150. Now I don't want all that sanding dust in the grain, so I'm going to blow it out. And as you can see, that's fine with the wood itself, but the filler does not take the stain whatsoever. I'm going to scrape this area right here because I don't think that that's all in the crack. I think there's a little bit outside of the crack. For that little bit, I'm just going to use a razor blade. And I was right. Now it's not as wide down there. Okay, we'll have to have that dry for a couple hours before we can go in and blend that in with some touch-up sticks. I'm going to background color and some graining pencils. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I'll be back. Now the oil is dry, so what I've done is I've taken some masking tape and I've more or less isolated this light spot. And I've been experimenting with colors to see what looks like this wood, and I think this one right here is pretty close. And this is just a background marker. So what we're going to do, we're just going to daub this on here just to get an idea of what the lighter shades in this wood would be. I want to make a dark affair out of this. I want to keep it kind of light because we can make it darker. Alright, I'm going to pull that off. That looks pretty good. Touch a little right there. Alright, we'll let it set that dry for a few minutes. Okay, although you can barely see the repair at this point, I'm going to take a little pin here. Just kind of adding some of the modeling, the grain of the piece. Just adding the darker elements, like maybe you can see this dark line right here, and I can come along and put a dark line right next to it, like that. And it kind of takes that light color and brings it more into the color of the piece. For all intents and purposes, this piece is finished, so I'm going to call that a wrap. Thank you for watching.